This is the IOTAVX SA3 integrated amplifier, and beneath it is its matching power amp. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about how this combination performs as a whole. But before I begin, if you haven't seen my review of the SA3, I would encourage you to check it out just because, well, this review won't make sense to you otherwise. So what I'm going to do is first I want to go over some general specifications about these products, then I'm going to talk about how it performs, and then at the very end I'm going to show you how to connect this stuff together because, quite frankly, IOTAVX's instructions aren't very good. So starting with the specifications, the SA3 retails for $500 US. That price includes shipping, and it outputs a respectable 45 watts into 8 ohms and 90 watts into 4 ohms. Now beneath it is going to be a matching power amplifier, and is literally the same amplifier that's in the integrated amplifier. It retails for $400 and has the same exact specs. However, when you pair them together, what you're going to get is a power output rating of 100 watts into 8 ohms and 180 watts into 4 ohms. So effectively you're doubling the power. And quite frankly, that's enough for most people. Now this makes the stack $900, and I believe that price also includes shipping for what it's worth to you. So now let's talk about performance. And honestly, this is pretty easy. If you saw my review of the SA3, you're going to notice that, well, I really like this piece. In fact, it was probably one of the most rave reviews that I've released here at Zero Fidelity. And that's because it offers incredibly well-rounded performance, really good tone, the kind of coloration that I think makes for an engaging presentation. I mean, obviously, nobody at this price wants something that's completely flat because it would just sound dead. This does have some life and some energy to the sound. Now, still though, it's just a little integrated amplifier, and the whole idea behind adding an amp is to give it some more muscle. And typically when you go from an integrated amplifier to a separates combo, that's exactly what you get, and surprise, surprise, that's what you get with this stack. You basically get the sound of the SA3, only now the scale of the music is larger, like noticeably larger. In fact, if you're running floor standing loudspeakers, it's going to be a pretty big difference. Again, it's the same type of presentation, it's just now you're getting more of it. Another thing that you're going to notice is the quality of the bass increases quite a bit. With the regular SA3, it has good bass. The problem is it's not the most articulate bass in the world. There's good strength to it. It's not one note by any means, but again, it's not the quickest that you could find. Something like a NAD 316B V2 has quicker bass, but when you pair them together, that's when you get the best of both worlds. You get that strength, you get that raw visceral output, while at the same time getting something that's going to be a little cleaner sounding and a little bit more articulate. So it's really good. When you pair them together, I notice it's almost like Hegel and Name had a baby, and this is what you get. You get something that's very easy to listen to, while at the same time there's going to be this kind of driving force to the music, and I think that combination makes for a very compelling listen. In fact, overall I would say the sound is, I'm actually going to borrow from Thomas in Stereo because he recently reviewed the shit Freya, and he said it was good enough. And that sounds like a backhanded compliment, right? Like you would say good enough means average. And in this case, I would say it's good enough, but from the perspective of if you're building a system and you want an anchor, something that you can buy and you know that this is going to last you for many, many years and through many upgrades, this stack, I think for a lot of people is going to be good enough. Even as you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on loudspeakers, it's going to be a while until this stack becomes the weakness in the chain. And there's going to be good enough power for most people with most average listening rooms and loudspeakers and listening habits. And it just makes for an easy recommendation. I don't have to worry about, will it match my Maggies? In this case, yeah, it actually should. Will it match my Harbeth and my other difficult to drive LS35As? Yeah, it should. It should also match easy to drive speakers pretty well. So overall, like I said, it's the SA3 except on steroids. Just there's more of it, and overall you get better sound. Now, are there any compromises to the stack? Well, I'd say there's only two things worth mentioning. Sometimes when you add more complexity to the audio chain, and don't get me wrong, when you add a separate amplifier, there's more complexity. One more power cord, one more set of interconnects. Now the signal has more space to basically travel through. And I don't know what may be the contributing factor to what I'm about to say, but I would say that the upper mid-range does become a little bit more forward and energetic with the stack than when listening to the SA3 by itself. But otherwise, I would say it's mostly an upgrade all across the board, and it's definitely worth it for people who like to listen at loud volumes or have difficult speakers to drive, or maybe you just like having that horsepower on tap. From what I've experienced so far, it's mostly a good thing. Excuse me. I'm going to keep that in there. But the other thing that I do need to mention is one of the cool things about the SA3 is that it has excellent dimming features. I mean, it has 10 presets that you can choose from. Now, while you can still do that when everything's tethered together, the light on the amplifier is not going to change. So while you can dim the integrated amp, you cannot dim the amplifier, and that kind of defeats the purpose of that feature when you buy them as a stack. But you know what? That's okay. I don't think that's a deal killer, at least not for me. It may be for you, but yeah, that's it. It's just a really good combination, and again, something that's really easy to recommend for this kind of money. So the only thing that I need to mention now is how it stacks up to other products, because the big question is, okay, should I get the stack or should I just get a better integrated amp than the SA3? And I think it depends on what you're looking for. Let me use the Danes Minuetto as an example, because for $1,000, that's been one of my references, and that's because it's very clear, transparent sounding, a little bit on the lean side of neutral, to be honest, but otherwise it's a really good piece. And compared to this stack, I would say that the Danes does have a slightly cleaner presentation to it, and maybe just a little bit more refined, but otherwise, this stack right here just has the balance, it has the tone, it has the muscularity and drive to it, and I just can't see too many situations to where this stack won't work well, especially if you take it for what it is, which is something under $1,000, whereas the Minuetto and many other components that I've heard at the same price point, they have a very distinct character that's either going to work or it won't. This makes for a pretty easy recommendation. Anyways, guys, I'm messing up all over the place today. That's going to conclude my thoughts on the stack, and now I want to show you all how to connect everything together. So let's get right to it. All right, so now that everything's turned around, let's go over what you need to do to connect this stack to your system. Starting with this. Once you get everything out of the box, the first thing that you're going to want to do is turn both components around and then look on the right side of the binding post. Underneath that, you're going to see this switch, and on the label is going to be stereo and mono. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to switch everything over from stereo to mono, and you're going to want to do that on the integrated amp as well as the amplifier. Now you're telling both pieces that, hey, we're going to run in bridge mode. Next, it's time to connect everything together. Now on the integrated amplifier, you're going to notice a pre-out right here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take a set of RCA cables. You're going to want to connect one side of your cables to the integrated amp, and then you're going to take the other side and connect it to the input, which is on the left side of the amplifier. Okay, now both products are connected together. Let's talk about how to get your speakers connected. Now, on the other side, you're going to see this text that's honestly very difficult to read, and it actually has instructions on how to connect the speaker wires to the amplifier. So here's basically what you need to do. The right channel is going to be your integrated amp, and this is how you connect it. One side's going to have the positive, the other's going to have the negative. What you do is do the same thing for your amplifier, except on the opposite end. Now I know what this looks like on camera, but the easiest way to remember this is your right channel, your right speaker connects to the integrated amp, and your left channel or the left speaker connects to the amplifier. And that's it. You'll be ready to go. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. And as always, enjoy the music, and until next time, peace.